Raphael, what inspired you to start Easy Dwell, and what problems were you trying to solve for aspiring homeowners?
What inspired me to start Easy Dwell? Basically, I was doing consulting in the mortgage industry around COVID time. Um, didn't know too much about real estate. I think I had bought my first triplex around 2021, but I was doing consulting in that industry and primarily in the marketing space. And when I got to a point where I was like, hey, this is actually working, I decided to fire all my clients and do it for myself. So instead of being, it was a bridge more so from trying to be an entrepreneur to becoming an investor. And the main way I knew how to do that was to start another business.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you describe Easy Dwell's business model to someone unfamiliar with it?
So Easy Dwell's like mission is to keep homes in the hands of the people, right? There's an entire generation of people who are being uh, conditioned to not own anything, right? It's that whole you'll own nothing and be happy mentality, right? What we really do is we want to bridge that gap into ownership. Okay, so we want to keep homes in the hands of the people, right? Right now, there's the gig economy, there's rent by the room, there's ride share. Basically, you don't own your job, you don't own your transportation, you don't own where you live, right? So we're hoping to bridge that gap and provide access to homeownership towards the people who have been shut out of traditional methods of banking.
What makes the shared equity approach different from traditional mortgage lending?
Yeah, so co-ownership, we think is where single-family homes was 15 years ago to institutions, right? Just starting to get traction, okay, at an institutional level. So um, you have co-ownership and shared ownership. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Picasso. It's luxury vacation rentals co-ownership, right? They got almost $1 billion valuation. I don't know if you guys have heard of anything called home equity agreements. Okay, basically these guys give you money and you sell off a portion of your equity, and then when you sell, they get some. That's co-ownership without any cash flow. So it's just, I think, the biggest tide, right? As long as the trend continues, where people are moving further and further away from ownership, that's a wave that we feel we could ride.
How do you decide whether a home is a good fit for Easy Dwell's portfolio?
For us, our buy box is really simple: single family starter homes, and then can we negotiate really good debt on it? We're basically right now just in the state of Florida. I think over the last 2 years, we've bought 63 houses within the portfolio. All of the interest rates are about the average interest rate is about 3.87 during a time right now where interest rates are between 6.5 to 7.5, right? What makes a good home for the portfolio? Um, would somebody want to live in it? Right? Is it a good entry point? Is it accessible to the average person? So we're pretty much 255 to 300K range, 3 to 1,000 square feet, just a standard starter home. Yeah, not much more to it than that.
What do you look for in terms of the neighborhoods and communities where Easy Dwell acquires homes?
Yeah, so we're not like one of those. We're not like we're not a fix and flipper. So we don't like buy ugly houses and then try to turn them around, right? As far as neighborhoods and communities, um, we are pretty much all over the state of Florida, except in like the Miami area. Um, so pretty much for all throughout the Panhandle, down to Orlando, Tampa, things like that. As far as schools and communities, these are going to be more so like entry level homes. This is the niche that we decided to start in, right? Nothing's going to be luxury, nothing's going to be like top tier, but the purpose that we're trying to solve is like you're getting your foot in the door. Like how many business owners and entrepreneurs, right, self-employed individuals do you know that might have 50 to $100,000 in their bank account but can't buy a home? Providing these people access and that foot in the door, a place where they can live, that's safe and secure, while still giving them room to step up into the next stage of their life, is really the solution we're trying to provide.
Many entrepreneurs talk about balancing business performance and social impact. How do you guys balance the two at Easy Dwell?
Yeah. So one of the things, I've been an entrepreneur for 15 plus years. November 2011 was the first incorporation I ever made. Um, Honestly, being able to sleep at night, right, and being able to be proud of what you do, like it's just as hard to create a short-term solution that just makes a bunch of cash. I would argue it's even harder. Sure, you make the quick cash, but then where's your long-term solution if you're not actually solving problems for people, and you're not actually creating a solution? You're not going to have a long-term business. Sure, you could make some cash, um, but when we came up with the business model, we wanted four parties to win. We wanted the sellers to win, the buyers to win, the investors to win, and then obviously us, the sponsors, to win. Right. So being able to kind of balance all those, um, was really important. I mean, just like most entrepreneurs, you look at a problem that has affected you, and that's really how you kind of come up with it. 2008, 2009, my mom lost her house, right? Same thing with my business partner. His parents lost their house. And you just kind of create solutions. I had a background in the mortgage industry, and I saw a window of opportunity. I'm like, oh, this could be better.
What have you learned about some of the struggles that families face when they're trying to buy their first home?
It's more so, in my opinion, an accessibility problem, not an affordability problem. Right? I go back to that initial saying. It's like, how many business owners, entrepreneurs, self-employed people do you know with maybe 50 grand in their bank account but can't buy a home, right? Because of traditional mortgages, right? So unless a lot of people are out there trying to solve, oh, let's create affordable home ownership, let's create affordable housing solutions. The reality, in my perspective, is that unless you're going to get the government to stop printing money and devaluing our dollar, you're not going to create affordability, right? Every A lot of people have money. Like, let's be real. A lot of people have money. It's, do they have the access to the thing, right? They're being gate kept from certain programs, because maybe their income doesn't qualify in a specific way. Maybe their taxes were optimized in a way to be reduced, right? To us, those are the most important things, right? Being able to create a solution that solves accessibility.
How has your background as an entrepreneur helped you shape the culture of Easy Dwell into what it is today?
I'm going to be honest. My background is sales and marketing. I've built sales teams and marketing machines, and that's literally all Easy Dwell is. At the core of it, it's a sales team and a marketing machine, um, with the great product that we're developing. As far as the culture, like, I'm used to creating teams. Leadership hasn't it hasn't always been like a natural thing. I'm probably still not like an S tier leader that shapes cultures and promotes visions that go global and widespread yet. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just having a team and um, being able to create a scenario that aligns everybody's interests, right? Human nature is to look out for self interest. So if I can create a vehicle and a space where everybody's interest is aligned, we can have a culture of winning. Um, Plus, I like fantasy football, and I run it like a franchise.
What operational systems and technologies have been most helpful in building Easy Dwell?
It started out, like I said, as a sales and marketing team. So, obviously, text messaging, dialers, like basic stuff, right? But what's really impacted us a lot recently, that's honestly kind of propelled us leaps and bounds forward, is AI. Um, Instead of doing the analyst work ourselves, because we're the smaller firm, there's only 11 of us. Instead of doing the analyst work at the partner level, we've been able to kind of outsource that. Obviously, we still have to redo it. You still have to kind of guide it and do that. But man, like Claude Code Fable 5 is Claude Cowork and Fable 5 are freaking amazing. If you're not using it, you're slacking. You're way behind, man.
How do you think about risk management when acquiring these properties and arranging financing for them?
How do I think about investments and risk management investments? What I would say is I learn a lot from Ray Dalio. So I've modeled our current strategy after his all weather fund. What I wanted to do in our thesis is create risk resistant returns. What that means is there's no such thing as risk free, but I bet you I can build a vehicle that's resistant to risks. So, what we did was we took the three largest risks that I could think of in the real estate space: price fluctuations, market fluctuations, and interest rate fluctuations, right? If the price goes up or down, the market goes up or down, or the interest rates go up or down, most real estate investments live and die by those swords, right? Um, how can you create a hedge against those three risks? In the last, you know, 24 months, we purchased 63 homes, um, and returned investors 13.54%. Um, so during a time when the Florida market had seen a 40% increase in inventory, a 30% decrease in price. Um, Materials and costs have gone up. There was a crisis in insurance, right? Two natural disasters and interest rates as high as 7.75%. Um, we weathered that storm and performed long term.
And what trends are you watching most right now in the residential real estate space?
The trend that I'm watching the most, not necessarily just in the residential real estate space, because again, I'm not a huge real estate guy. I'm just an entrepreneur who saw opportunity to invest, right? The biggest trend I see is going to be co ownership, right? As accessibility to full ownership becomes more and more restrictive and limited, I believe co owning is going to be a segment in the market that continues to grow. Think about it this way. Um, if you and I met at, I don't know, some real estate meetup, and we're like, hey, like, let's go buy a business together, right? Let's go live together. Let's go partner up to buy a rental, right? More and more people are being pushed into having to pool resources. Again, rent by the room, even just at the consumer level, rent by the room, ride share, the gig economy. You don't own your job. You don't own where you live. You don't own your transportation. These things have to be pooled, or the trend is they are getting pooled. So that's one of just the biggest segments that I look at is like, what are people having to share because they can't own it on their own anymore?
How have interest rates, the rise in interest rates over the past 4 or so years, shaped the way homeowners think about home ownership today?
It makes it inaccessible, right? Like, again, in order to qualify now with housing prices, historically, when interest rates were high, prices of the homes were low, right? When you had that period of time where interest rates were like 14, 15%, right? Housing prices were low. Now we're at all-time highs for housing prices and medium term for interest rates, but that combination has made it inaccessible, right? Um, People have the ability to put down payments on the house and pay their rents, but because of the way that you need to qualify, um, it's just not it's not reasonable anymore. For us, we've been able to hedge that through things like creative finance, purchasing homes, seller finance, subject to the average interest rate on a home that we purchased over the last 2 years was 3.88. So it affects the market greatly. It's not my problem.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions that consumers have about alternative home ownership models?
Consumers having problems with alternative home ownership models. Trust is going to be the biggest thing, right? How many times have you done it? Are you somebody that I believe isn't going to screw me over? And then just adoption as time goes on. It's gotten easier and easier for us as we've built that track record. Um, but honestly, anything new is going to be traditionally met with resistance.
What advice would you give to someone who feels like home ownership is out of reach today?
I bought 63 homes in the last 2 years with none of my own money. I would say believing being open to a different mindset or train of thought um, is probably going to allow you to be open to finding the solutions that actually solve a problem. Um, Life is difficult, so what?
What's been the most rewarding moment for you since founding Easy Dwell?
Oh man, there's a bunch. um, Gosh, just if I'm going to just look at my immediate team, uh, people paying off debt, multiple people buying houses, buying land, um, and really just being able to change their financial situation, um, and really kind of it brings me a sense of pride to know that, hey, I'm building a vehicle that can support and help more than just myself, right? I don't know how many of your listeners are entrepreneurs, but when you start off building that vehicle, it like a bike, then it's like a motorcycle. It can really only hold one person, right? And as you grow and as you scale, being able to impact other people's lives, the people who believe in you and are following you to the great unknown, towards this vision that might not even be clear or make full sense, being able to like have that pay off for them is a huge. I mean, just it just brings me a sense of joy and like honestly pride.
And looking back on building Easy Dwell, what are some lessons that or insights that you would like to share with entrepreneurs looking to enter the real estate or financial service space today?
Hmm. Insights. Gosh, I mean, just it took me longer than I thought it was going to take. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Like, um, I've been at it for 15, 16 years. I've had a couple successful businesses before this. I had a bunch of hit singles, but no timeless album. And then 16 years into it, 15 years into it, you're like, oh man, this could be like my timeless album. I would just say keep stacking skills. Okay. Keep believing in yourself, keep taking calculated risks. Um, and just honestly, it's that cliche statement. It's like you overestimate what you can do in a year and underestimate what you can do in a decade. Just keep going.
Where do you see the greatest opportunities for innovation at the intersection of real estate and financial technology?
Oh, I'm probably not qualified to answer that question, man. I've bought 63 houses and I use Claude, like in real estate and technology. Like, I hope somebody makes technology so that my life is easier. I'm not a tech guy. Um, I'm a sales and marketing guy, entrepreneur, an investor. Where do I see tech coming into play? I mean, honestly, just the way that we use it, we've been able to, God, triple our, and this is an arbitrary number, triple our output for what we could accomplish. Again, I'm not an expert in this, but I've been addicted to Claude Fable 5 since it came out. I'm not going to speculate. I don't really know.
As you look over the next 5 years, what are you most excited about in your vision for Easy Dwell and its clients as it continues to grow?
Expansion. Like, I think that this could be an emerging solution that I can go national with. I'd like Easy Dwell to be the pioneers, the ones leading the charge to bring co-ownership to the everyday person, Main Street, right? It's being used by sophisticated investors, quote unquote, sophisticated investors forever. If you and I decided to go buy some piece of real estate and partner up, we wouldn't put it in your name. We wouldn't put it in my name. We'd put it into an LLC, chop it up with an operating agreement and co-own it. Right. And then we'd rent it out to the person who doesn't get to participate. Right. Just simply having and bringing that tool or that vehicle to people is like, I think it's one of the most exciting things. Like, we want to do 300 homes in Florida the next 12 to 24 months, or we want to get to 300 in the next 12 to 24 months. Then we want to go regional over the next 5 to 7 years, and hopefully national after 10. Um, it's just the expansion and the opportunity for how I think large it could be really excites me.